1987. This is before everybody has got here.
All of the ones in this area that are metal are VFW.
All set up.
Is that right?
Yes, all the metal are VFW and all the woods are...
Parrot and all the
There's all the troops having our coffee.
Rich, where the hell did you get... How about you? Where did you get two? Coffee? Thank you. Hey, stop littering, boy.
There it is. That's where the band's going to sit. There's the viewing stand for all the dignitaries. There's the cannons. Can you give that salute? There's one, two, three. And that's it. Now we're all ready, so hopefully it doesn't rain.
I got you. Good shot.
This figure is a representative of the last war that we fought, Vietnam War. Reflecting the brutal meaning of war that caused us.
Well, thank you very much, sir. If we can find each other afterwards, I'd like to finish the interview. Right here, the Louise. How are you, sir? See you again here. Dedication here. Nice meeting you down here. And right out to your American. Right, sir. I'll let you go now. Thanks for coming. How are you?
I don't know.
Hi, Rose. Lovely article today. And I'm okay with doing it at the post office. Yeah.
Flag. Once these flags reach the top of the pole, Charlie Battery, 1st Battalion, 156th Field Artillery will tell the rest of New York State that we have begun. Those 3 cannons down there are about to fire. I don't want to surprise anybody when that goes off. Please raise the flag.
Present. Ho!
Please join with me now in pledging the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while the Monroe Woodbury Ensemble plays the national anthem. you. Here to give us the invocation is Rabbi Herschel.
Our God and God of all humanity, the young soldiers do not speak. Nevertheless, they are heard in the still houses. Who has not heard them? They have a silence that speaks for them at night and when the clock counts. They say, "We are young. We have died. Remember us." They say, "We have done what we could, but until it is finished, it is not done." They say, "We have given our lives, but until it is finished, no one can know what our lives gave." They say, "Our deaths are not ours, they are yours. They will mean what you make them." They say, "Whether our lives and our deaths are for peace and a new hope, or for nothing, we cannot say. It is us who must say this." They say, "We leave you our deaths. Give them meaning." "We were young," they say. "We have died. Remember us." Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. You folks want to be seated, I think. And now to welcome you is the President of the Orange County Veterans Memorial Incorporated, Michael Krawetz.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Michael Krawetz. I'm the president of the Orange County Veterans Memorial, and I don't have a prepared speech. I just want to tell you that about 26 or 27 months ago, I tried to build a little memorial for my childhood friend who was killed in Vietnam. I had a few setbacks, but a wonderful thing happened. It evolved into a memorial that would honor our dead from all 4 wars. So as far as I am concerned, this day belongs to our fallen heroes. On that memorial is the name of one soldier who I got to know 18 years after his death. His name was Sergeant David S. Kalu of Goshen, New York. And David had a premonition that he would be killed in battle. And he met with his wife, Louise, on an R&R in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I've written down his words because I think he speaks for all of us. So I'm going to just withdraw from my pocket the words that David spoke that I believe will last a lifetime. And I got to find them. Hold on. He said, "Suppose something happens to me, Louise. I know something will. It happens all the time over there. Would my medals be placed in a box and put in the attic to collect dust? Will anyone care or take the time to remember me?" We all remember David today, and we all remember our 820 heroes. And I think that this beautiful day is a turning point in the relationships between people in Orange County, because we have cared, we have put up a memorial that cost us $60,000, and we did it with blood and sweat equity. So I thank you all for coming here today, and I thank you all for helping us construct this memorial. It lives through your contributions and help. God bless you and thank you.
I did not join the effort until after I saw a few things in the paper once Michael had begun. No job is done by just one person. We have a committee who did much of the work here, and I'd like to introduce a few of those people to you. The vice president of our organization is a Vietnam veteran, member of the 101st Airborne, good friend of mine now. I didn't know him before we began. It's become one of the most meaningful parts of this whole project is the people that I've met. My buddy, Lloyd Hansen. Lloyd.
Well, as the president said, none of us came prepared for a speech. I just want to say it was an honor and a privilege to be part of this committee, to see this monument finally get up. We owe it all to the people out here in the community. Thank you.
Michael mentioned Louise York. Louise also is on our committee. I'd like to introduce her to you. Louise.
I don't have a speech either, but I'm very happy to be here to accept it on behalf of the Vietnam veterans. Thank you.
Well, what really attracted me to the project was when I saw the artist's rendering, the artist's idea of what he would like to see here at this spot. And today you're going to see that become a reality, but I'd like to introduce the sculptor and designer of the Orange County Veterans Memorial, Richard Masloski.
I too would like to thank everyone for being here today, with a particular thanks to all of those who had a hand in making this moment a reality. Working on the Orange County Veterans Memorial project for the past 2 years has been the most profound experience of my life. So I want to thank the 820 people whose names are written in bronze on our memorial, who by paying with their lives for the cost of freedom have helped make this moment a reality, have made gatherings such as this possible, in this, the 200th year of our Constitution's history. I can't help but feel that those 820 people are with us right here today, standing right beside us. Thank you.
Once we got started on the project, we knew we wanted to be able to put the names on a plaque and put the plaque on the stone. And as we started to do the research, we realized that the lists that we had gotten from Washington, D.C. and New York State were inadequate, and the names kept coming in and coming in and coming in. As the stone got bigger and bigger, we kept going back to a man that we went to for the monument advice. And without his advice, we're sure that we would never have been able to succeed to this point. I'd like to introduce now Richard Poloni from Mid-Hudson Monument Company. Richard.
Thank you, David. It was a great honor and privilege for me to be part of such a beautiful memorial, and I would like to thank the committee for allowing me to do so. I would just like to ask everyone here today and in the days to come to allow this memorial or this monument to be a symbol of thanksgiving, not only to the 820 names that will appear on the plaque, but to all the veterans who served our country so well. If it wasn't for their dedicated service to our country, I wonder what it would be like today. Thank you.
When we started doing the research, we went everywhere that we thought we could, libraries, etc. And finally we were looking for more help, so we put a little ad in the paper, and a woman responded to that ad, and she called up and said, "I want to help with the Veterans Memorial. My name is Kate Smith." I thought it was my first prank call. The woman's name really is Kate Smith. She may talk to you a little sideways because she read the microfilm so much doing all that research for us. Chairman of the Research Committee, Kate Smith.
I'm very proud to be here today. I'd like to thank the people who helped us by supplying us with the names for the plaque. Thank you very much.
We're throwing jewelry down there. started doing the research too on the Vietnam names, I got to meet another Vietnam vet who has done yeoman's work in researching the names that will appear on this wall. He's gone with me everywhere trying to raise funds and to sell our idea to other people in the 2 years. That man has been invaluable to me many times. When I didn't know which way to turn, I called him on the phone and said, now what do I do? My good friend now, Dan Yanarella.
This project started 2 years ago with an idea by Mike Krawetz to honor his fallen childhood friend who was reported to have been killed in action in Vietnam. Today, 2 years later, we stand here to witness the unveiling of this memorial, which now rightfully shares the names of the 820 servicemen and women from Orange County who gave their lives for their country in the 4 20th century wars. This memorial will continue to stand as a symbol of the sacrifices made by men and women from our country who go off to battle and are not as fortunate as we, who were able to return to our homes from a war. This memorial will also stand as a symbol to the parents and families of the men and women listed on this plaque, that you too are remembered by the community for the hardships and sacrifices you have lived with since the untimely death of your loved ones. We are here today to share this day with you, Veronica Adams, George and Gladys Brooks, Louise York, to the parents and family of Anthony Marina, who was killed in action in Vietnam on the exact day of his 20th birthday, and to all the parents and families, many of which have traveled many miles to be here with us today, who have a family member listed on this memorial. If there's anything that I would like to accomplish today at this time, I'd like to ask that each parent or family member who has a loved one's name on this plaque raise your hand and be recognized by Orange County. I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me to share this day with you, and I thank you very much.
When we first started this project, we were not too sure where we were going to place it. We weren't too sure what we were even doing, to tell you the truth. One of the people that we knew we wanted to get some help from was Mayor Joan Shapiro. The minute she heard about our project, she was behind us 100% of the way. And as I've said in your little brochure, that without her help, we're sure this memorial project would never have gotten the support that it needed in the beginning to keep the momentum going.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the distinguished members of this dais. And to you, the distinguished audience, I say thank you and shalom. 2 years ago, a young man by the name of Richard Masloski had a dream. He wanted to erect a beautiful monument, living and everlasting. And it was, in a sense, a veteran without a country. Is that right, is it, Rich? 2 years later today, I am so very proud that while I still serve as Newburgh's mayor, I have the opportunity to share with you the love and the caring and the commitment that went into this successful day, which clearly demonstrates that if good people have a dream and they work together, because this is a collaborative effort, hundreds of volunteers, community, good people such as yourselves, and government, working together to bring a resting place for all people to come across this state and across this nation, to come to the city of Newburgh and rest and touch and remember. And that's really what this is all about. And so we welcome you from all across the county, you the veterans, our great American men and women, you the administrators, you the community, and you the legislators, who have made a 2-year dream a reality. I am so proud and so grateful to all of you, because it is not just, and has not just been, the big dollars that has made this possible, but the little dollars, $1 and $2, 50 cents. When you have young children come up to you and say, Mayor, I've only got a quarter, but I'd love to give it to you because I'd love to see that happen in Newburgh. When you have the elderly on fixed income come up to the evening news where that wonderful telethon was held, they call you on the phone and they say, Mayor, you don't know me, and I really don't know you all that well, but I had a son, or I had a father, or I had a brother, and I want to give. And in a short few moments, everybody's lives touched so that today could happen. So first I thank God, and then I thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Shapiro. And now, accepting the memorial for Orange County, County Executive Louis Heimbach.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's indeed an honor for me to be part of this ceremony today. I too want to thank all of those people who worked so hard to make this possible. But the ultimate thanks that we give today are for those 820 men and women whose names appear on that plaque, who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, making it possible for this ceremony in large measure to take place here today. We are forever grateful, and we hope that this memorial will be remembrance for all of the living of the horrors of war and the great sacrifice that these people made for us. On behalf of the government and the people of Orange County, we're grateful for their help and their sacrifice and accept this memorial today. Thank you very much.
One of the champions of our cause from the very beginning, who helped us a great deal, is Senator Richard Schermerhorn. Here for New York State, Senator Schermerhorn.
When the veterans asked us to participate with a sizable check, I said we would. We'd be honored to help construct this memorial to those who made the supreme sacrifice. I'm delighted that they asked us to participate, and you can only pass a bill in one house. It's no good. Billy helped us in the assembly. Thought I'd bring him up with you.
Thank you very much. I was planning to do that, Mr. Larkin, just in case you were getting worried there. I have it written right in on my... It's a great honor for me, now that I feel, in doing all the research, that I've learned so much about what the World War I veterans went through. As a Vietnam veteran, I understand what it means to be in foxholes and watching incoming rounds go over your head. But the World War I veterans knew that long, long before I was born. With so many of them on that wall, it's only right that we have somebody here who can speak in their behalf. It's a great honor now to introduce a World War I veteran that some of you may have known for years, especially those of you from the Cornwall area. I'd like to introduce Mr. Leo Fanning for World War I.
In a most grateful manner, on behalf of the veterans of World War I of Orange County, I accept this Orange County Veterans Memorial, which has been dedicated in memory of those who made the great sacrifice by loss of their lives, and among them mystics. As we return occasionally to this monument and read the names inscribed thereon, I hope it will give us the inspiration to bow our heads and pray that peace may not be far off. And I hope to see the day when we will not have to think of building any more monuments. And thank you very, very much.
I often did not know where to turn, especially when I was trying to do various parts of the research, and one of the people who helped me tremendously when it came to knowing anything about World War II, I once said to this man, "Can you name some people for me from the Newburgh area who were killed in World War II?" Tears came to his eyes. The man was visibly moved, and I knew I hit a nerve right away. He helped us tremendously, and I want to thank the past commander of the Judson P. Galloway Post 152, and a good close friend of mine now, John Farino.
Today I'm very proud and honored to represent the veterans of the Second World War. You know, credit has to be given to the veterans of the Vietnam War, because without them this magnificent memorial would never be erected. Mike Krawetz, Danny Anarella, Richard Masloski, and this gentleman on my left, David McCamany. Let me tell you one thing or two things about David. You know, David took a year's hiatus from his teaching profession as the English instructor at Woodbury High School. For one whole year he received no salary. As a matter of fact, it cost him a lot of money because he went out into the countryside trying to find out what veterans were killed during the wars of the 20th century. Spent a lot of time, rest assured. And David, until a few minutes ago, was working out here. He set up all these, everything you see here, even the chairs. He worked like a slave. You know, New York City has Donald Trump. City of Newburgh, New York has David McCamany. But Donald Trump, he gets paid for everything he does. David doesn't. You know, wars are a terrible thing. Everyone knows that. I'm sure many people out there realize that we lost a lot of our buddies. During the Second World War, I lost a lot of good friends. Johnny Frietti, I don't know if any of you know, I'm sure a lot of you know. I know my brother Joe does. John Frietti, who was an accomplished musician, a very handsome lad, I might add. He was a tail gunner. Plane was shot down, never facing him. Arthur Tapasco, Aldolf Stalella, Arthur Spellman, who I went to school with. We started in Broadway School. Oh God, how many years ago? I can't think of right now. Also, a fellow Marine, Howard Brown, that was in the 1st Marine Division and was killed on Guadalcanal early in the war back in 1942. These men never were able to have a family, never were able, some of them, to be loved by a woman because they were too young when they went off to war. I'm so grateful to the Vietnam veterans for making this magnificent memorial. God bless you all, and God bless all you people for coming today.
As I traveled around the county, and sometimes you'd come up with a name, and I wanted to make sure that I could verify every name that's on that wall 2 or 3 times to be sure. Sometimes I'd open the phone book and go down and just start making phone calls to see if I could find somebody who was related to that person. Sometimes people heard what we were doing and called us to make that job a bit easier. One of those people who did that was a woman from Middletown whose brother was killed in the Korean War. Who'll be the first name on that section for Korea that you see. And now it gives me a great pleasure to introduce to you Mrs. Faye Atkins Scott, sister of Leonard Atkins.
Thank you. On behalf of my brother Leonard H. Atkins and his fellow comrades from Orange County who lost their lives in the Korean conflict, I would like to accept this beautiful monument before be placed in Leroy Park, honoring all the other veterans of previous wars and conflicts. Thank you. God bless you.
I know I've introduced her before as part of our committee, so now, speaking on behalf of the Vietnam veterans and the Vietnam names on the wall, my good friend, Louise York.
Thank you. I'd like to start out today by thanking all the people who made donations and everyone who gave their time and support. And a special thanks to Dave McCamedy. He was our #1 man. And Richard, you put so much of yourself in that statue, as we'll soon see. It's a masterpiece. We are here today to pay tribute to 820 soldiers who gave a supreme sacrifice. One of these men was my husband, Staff Sergeant David S. Toulouse. Dave was killed in action in Vietnam in the height of the Vietnam War. He went to Vietnam with respect and belief that it was his duty to serve his country. Dave never reached the voting age. He even had to have his parents sign so we could be married. Dave was 19 years old when he went into the service. And just like all the Vietnam veterans, he was a man before his time. It's been 18 years since David died. This memorial is long overdue. So let's look ahead. Let's make sure history doesn't repeat itself. No more plaques and no more names. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. And as I look out on all of you, I know you care. And there's 820 servicemen looking down who know you care too. Thank you.
You know, although we list by name the 820 who were killed during those wars, we are very aware that the suffering went on for many beyond that. And here to talk to us for a few moments about that is Mrs. Rosemary Workman, who can tell us very astutely what that sacrifice was. Mrs. Workman.
I am proud to stand among you and honor the memory of the GIs whose names grace that beautiful monument. It is a fitting tribute to those who gave their lives for their country. I am Tech Sergeant Henry Workman's widow. Hank's name is not among those on the memorial because he died of wounds sustained in battle, but 33 years later, after the shooting was over. Thus, I speak of him and all the disabled American veterans. Let us remember today also those men who returned from the battlefield, took their rightful place in society, and under the toughest conditions continued to exalt their country. They are the DAV, the returned warriors. Some wear prosthetic arms and legs. Those are the amputees. Some are blind. There are others who are deaf, unable to hear these accolades spoken today. There are those others paralyzed, destined to spend the rest of their days in wheelchairs. And there are those among us haunted by the war experience, toughing it out with their emotional scars. Let us remember these men and women whose names will not be etched on this lovely monument. They are the GIs who came home and under duress continue to honor their country. War correspondent Ernie Kyle wrote from Omaha Beach to readers back home during World War II. He could have been speaking from any beachhead, any battleground, and from any war. He said, "Know and appreciate and forever be humbly grateful to those both dead and alive who did it for you." Thank you.
Certainly say what we all should remember, Mrs. Workman. Recently, in the last few days, I met a gentleman named Mr. Pragler. Mr. Pragler was talking to me and telling me how much he still bears those same kinds of scars. He had one brother killed at the Anzio Beach invasion. He had another brother who leaped on top of a hand grenade to save the men in his platoon. That man received the Medal of Honor and bore those scars with him until he died only 2 years ago. So for many, the suffering still indeed goes on. We've come to that moment now that I anxiously await. My first step is to ask Floyd to leave, then go down and stand by the memorial so that you can participate in unveiling it. Don't mess up. I would now ask the folks who are standing on that sidewalk, please, if you could step aside. We have a golf cart that wants to bring through one of the World War I veterans from Newburgh. He's a combat veteran of World War I named James Kelly. His brother Hugh Kelly was killed in the trenches of World War I. Those were the days when they took the whole company of men from one city, when Company E and Company L left from Newburgh. These men left and several of them died in the same day. We have Mr. Santa Cruz, who's a Korean War veteran, my friend Floyd from Vietnam, and my good friend Warren Patterson from World War II. Gentlemen.
Present! On!
Let me reintroduce Mayor Joan Shapiro at this point, who would like to say something.
Left! Right! Forward! March!
I would ask everyone here today to put their hands together and to salute and applaud our good friend, the great American, Dave McTammany.
Thank you. It certainly has been hard many times because I realize that I'm still standing and not one of those names on the wall. And it's that energy that's driven me to be able to do this. I'd like now to introduce Bishop Vaughan from St. Patrick's Church here in Newburgh, who will bless the unveiled memorial.
Father in heaven, we ask you to make this monument an expression of our gratitude for what our country has brought us. The opportunity for a better life, a share in the greatest blessings any nation has had in history, the freedoms that exist as nowhere else, a spirit of generosity and sharing with those in need, pride in our history, a pride in our soldiers and sailors and airmen and marines, a pride in our national ideals. Father, we ask you to make this monument a reminder to us that all of those blessings have come at the cost of sacrifices of others, of the pioneers who cleared our land and built on it, the forefathers who passed on our institutions and buildings, and most of all those who have fought and struggled, been wounded, and have given their lives for our freedom. We can never adequately honor them or repay them for what they have given us, or for what they have taught us, about love for country, about bravery, about generosity, about freedom and justice, and about peace. Father, today we ask you for the courage to accept their gift with a sense of responsibility, to pass it on in all its goodness and its glory to the generation that will come after us. I'd like to finish this lesson with the words of a poem that were written by a young soldier from New York who lived only about 30 minutes away from here. He was in the fighting 59th in World War I, and 3 months after he wrote this poem, he died in battle in France and was buried there. In a wood they call the Rouge Bouquet, there is a new-made grave today, built by never a spade nor pick, yet covered with earth 10 meters thick. There lie many fighting men, dead in their youthful prime, never to laugh nor love again, nor taste the summertime. For death came flying through the air, and stopped his flight at the dugout stair, touched his prey and left them there, clay to clay. He hid their bodies stealthily, in the soil of the land they fought to free, and fled away. Now over the grave, abrupt and clear, 3 volleys ring, and perhaps their brave young spirits hear the bugle sing. Go to sleep, slumber well, where the shell screamed and fell. Let your rifles rest on the muddy floor, you will not need them anymore. Danger's past, now at last, go to sleep. There is on earth no worthier grave to hold the bodies of the brave than this place of pain and pride where they nobly fought and nobly died. Never fear, but in the sky saints and angels stand, smiling with their holy eyes on this new-come band. St. Michael's sword parts through the air and touches the aureole in his hair, as he sees them stand saluting there his stalwart sons. And Patrick Bridget Column Hill rejoiced that in the veins of warriors still the Gael's blood runs. And up to heaven's doorway floats, from the wood called Rouge Bouquet, a delicate cloud of bugle notes that softly says, farewell, farewell, comrades true, warning you, peace to you. Your souls shall be where the heroes are, and your memories shine like the morning star. Brave and dear, shield us here. Farewell.
Thank you so much. And now, for the dedication ceremony address, I introduce to you Mr. Theodore S. Coleman, the Director of the Orange County Veterans Service Agency, to speak to you today. Thank you.
David, the memorial is a magnificent tribute. It's not only a tribute to the men who paid the price, whose names are listed there, but it's also a tribute to you and to your committee, and to the loyalty that those men instilled in you, the determination that they would not be forgotten. If David had come to me before the memorial was designed or even conceived and asked me what he should do, I never would have told him to put those names on there. I would have said, David, you'll never find all the names. There are some who will be left off the honor roll. The easiest way would be just to build a monument of general gratitude to the servicemen who lost their lives from Orange County in the wars of the 20th century. And it would have been the easiest way by far, and I know they will agree with me. Sometimes I tell the members of my staff in the Orange County Veterans Service Agency that the easy way is the best way. But that's not always true. The easy way is the best way only when you accomplish the desired ends. And the desired end would not have been accomplished in any other way, David, except the way you chose. For these individuals should not be forgotten. And neither did they choose the easy way. The easy way for them undoubtedly would have been to stay home, or to do what some others did, to go to a foreign country and seek refuge so they did not need to serve. But they didn't choose the easy way either. They chose, perhaps somewhat romantically, to make the world safe for democracy. Well, in World War I, we might have been able to say that we can stay home and mind our own business and let the rest of the world take care of their wars. That's debatable. But certainly by the time World War II arrived, there was no debate. when the world was far too small to stay home. The fire that was raging out of control in Europe endangered our own country. So no more than the neighbor could ignore the house on fire next door to him, could we ignore the inferno that was burning in the world. And even though we may no longer have believed that we were making the world safe for democracy, we didn't take the easy way. They took the best way. And it wasn't long before the first name was given to us to honor in Orange County. An ambulance driver in June of 1917, the American Ambulance Service was driving toward the front line to pick up the wounded. He didn't choose the easy way. He thought the best way was to help those wounded. And he went toward the artillery fire. And a shell landed in front of his ambulance and tore his body into ribbons. G. Frederick Norton, Middletown, New York, became the first Orange County casualty in the 20th century. And he was followed very quickly by others. Those of the famed 396 colored infantry associated with Hamilton Fish Sr., who spent probably more time in the trenches without a break than any other regiment in World War I from our country. Over 190 days, I'm told, in the trenches. In the last week of September, their unit was almost annihilated. And yet they had a reputation of never giving an inch of ground they had gained, never losing a prisoner they had captured. Some of the men of the 396 are listed on that honor roll. One of the most tragic days for Orange County followed right just before the end of the war. The impenetrable Hindenburg line stood in the way of victory. And the American forces, who were not regarded too highly by some of the French or the English forces who had been fighting for 4 years, the American forces were placed in the most difficult place of the Hindenburg line. And part of that force was composed of Company E, Company L, the 107th Infantry. Almost a large number of them Orange County people. Newburgh, Middletown. And that single day, in one infantry charge, 42 Orange County soldiers were mortally wounded. September 29, 1918, and their names are listed on that honor roll. Let's travel quickly through time. Let's travel past World War II, another world war, and more names, more dreams, more families, more faces. Let's travel on through time past the Korean War. Let's travel on to the 18th day of April, 1972. In a helicopter, Vietnam, where a 19-year-old crew chief from the town of Wallkill was tremendously proud of being part of the Ghost Riders. And as he did his duty, his helicopter was hit crashed in flames, and David Stover became the last casualty from Orange County to be listed on the honor roll. He was only 19 years old. He never voted. Mrs. Workman has told about those who died not in combat, but as a result of combat. We sometimes forget them, and they're not on that list. They're not on the honor roll today. We would have no way of knowing how to put them on an honor roll. Those are those veterans who came home with wounds, some of them that cannot be seen with the eye. They are those who come before me and our Orange County Veteran Service Agency and my staff, and they honor us. They honor us by giving us the privilege of helping them a little for what they have given for us. Those veterans who did come home, but came home with terrible wounds. And we wouldn't forget those who are also not on that honor roll, who did not come home, who are missing in action, those who we believe are still alive and prisoners of war, and we hope whose names will never have to go onto an honor roll. They're all part of the same team. Why did they do it? Let me give you the answer of one of the veterans who came out of World War I, out of one of the massacres, where literally thousands of troops died in a single charge. They asked him, why did you do it when you knew that certain death was probably your fate? And his answer was this: we did what we were trained to do. We did what we were expected to do. We did what we knew we should do. David asked me if I'd speak to you for a few minutes today. I thought, what in the world can I say? And every thought seemed to be presumptuous or falsely solemn. 124 years ago, there was another memorial service. On another November day. And I think the speaker felt the same thing that I felt. And as he looked out over the people who were probably wishing they could go home by now, he said to them words that turned out not to be true, but will be true today. He said, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here today. But it can never forget what they did. And that's the purpose of this honor roll. That's the purpose of the work that David and his staff did. We cannot allow the world to forget. We cannot allow ourselves to forget what they did. So I ask you, Mr. Lincoln, what can I say that's appropriate today? What kind of words can be appropriate in a dedication like this? And he answers, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. Brave men, living and dead, have already consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. So President Lincoln, help me. Help me. It is rather, he says, it is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great past remaining before us, that from these honored deaths, we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Coleman. And now, those of you who are veterans know that it is traditional that when we want to remember our comrades who have fallen, we fire a volley in their memory. And I'd now like to call upon the honor guard, who will do that first with a volley from their rifles, and that'll be followed by a volley from those 3 105 howitzers down there again. So those of you should be prepared for that. Sergeant of the Guard.
In the back.
Now the artillery. And now for the benediction, the Reverend Dr. Wayne Smith.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we ask that as we leave here, we remember the work that has been done, but we also remember why it was done. We ask that when the instruments and the cameras and the dais is put away, we remember that when we see the flag,
take a brochure home with you. There should be a stack of brochures by that street sign down there. They list all the 820 discs. We want you to have that.
Where would we have been if you guys hadn't helped us from the beginning? You know, we would have quit right away. You know? Right? How you doing? All right. Good to see you.
That's right, you know?
Woke up the rest of Newburgh and let them know you're on there. She wanted to.
That's nice, Richard. One more. Okay.
God bless you, sweetheart. You well and your wonderful son. Richard's family.
Believe me, you were beautiful up there, and I know you did so much. You always said it.
Thank you, Good day.
We'll see you next Sunday. Oh, yeah.
In the Dodge garage, that new garage behind the Cadillac. There's not enough room up there. Oh, okay. Great. They're changing it.
Get out of the way, little girl.
Christopher, get out of the way. The man's taking a picture.
Wait a minute.
Thank you so much. What are you doing? Checking out my fingerprint?
The picture.
Yep.
Here's one of my favorite people. You don't know how many times I've called this lady. Hi, Mrs. Masloski This. That's right.
Wait a minute, my big tie's popping.
Wait.
I want to kiss this guy. If you kiss me, I'm going to punch you.
Wait, hold it, kid. Don't be gay, Richard.
Carol, get over here and get these kisses, will you? Get excited. That's it, no more pictures.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad I was able to do it.
We'll find somebody else.
Richard, could I take a picture with this lovely gentleman, Mr. Tasio? He was a teacher in the state when I was there. Yes, you may have Wait a minute. Mr. Masloski, Nov, I want a picture of you.
Go ahead, take it.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait, one more this way. Wait. Okay.
Come here, we'll take Miller and do just a take with Mr. Masloski.
I want to take a picture too of I know. Where's my sister? Irene? Irene, take a picture of me. Yeah. Don't bump me here. Okay?
Okay.
Did you look at them? Well, I took it already. Got it? Yeah. Okay. See? Charlie, are you moving those things? That's movies, honey. I know, but those things that are moving. Oh, yeah, they move.
Automatically?
Okay. Yeah, Wally, wait. Here. Okay, wait. It's probably different with yours.
Hey, Mom. Oh, sorry. I'll hug you in a minute. Hold on. Oh, wait. It's not ready. It's dead. Okay. He's ready.
Wow.
You gotta wait a minute.
Were you here for the ceremony?
No, I just got here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Because you don't know how to work it, that's why.
Don't pick on me.
Put some batteries down.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, push the button.
How about the business? Hey, my feet hurt because I can't understand. I want to take a picture. Give me that here. I don't have it. It's my tail.
All right, check, guys.
I don't know. I think you guys might take a picture of me and Alan.
I'm trying to do for 10 minutes already.
Sorry about that.
Nobody told me that. They wouldn't see nothing anyway. My feet hurt. I mean, yeah, but still. What, I got pantyhose on.
I changed my film already. Okay.
Shirley got it. They're getting married. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, okay. She said, I gotta go and look for him. That's what he did at the wedding. I gotta change my film.
You gonna do what she's doing? Look at her. Oh, you missed her.
I want to get Joe in there, too. Okay.
Hold it. That's only one camera. You're gonna go through 45.
No, this. Come on, it's our guys. Yeah, I know. I saw that. All right, wait.
Please take a picture.
Somebody was walking back. Okay.
Go in.
Chris looks nice.
Buzzy, behave yourself. Hey.
Look up.
Look up. Wait a minute.
Smile. See that? Put your hand straight. Wait a minute.
Chris, be good.
Now we got Wayne. We got Wayne there. I know it. How about Walt and Wayne with Richard? Take a picture. Ricky, take a picture. Wait, Mr. and Mrs. Crawetz. Hey. I want to take a picture.
No, Mike Krawetz. I want you with your mother and father over there.
Okay. Come on.
And then Madeline holds that.
Why should I read?
Okay, thank you.
I took you this picture. Selfie.